In English grammar, the subject must agree with the verb. This is called subject-verb agreement. It means that a plural subject goes with a plural verb. A singular subject goes with a singular verb. For example, Sarah and Chloe are at home. Here you've got a plural subject, Sarah and Chloe. So we need to use a plural verb like are. It would be incorrect to say Sarah and Chloe is at home. There are a few rules to subject-verb agreement. Let's go through some of them. Rule 1. Is or are. If the subject is singular and you want to use the verb to be, the correct form is. If the subject is plural and you want to use the verb to be, you use are. For example, they is or are holding hands. We would say, they are holding hands. They equals a plural subject. Are equals a plural verb. It would be incorrect to say, they is holding hands. Let's go through another example. Martha and Sam is or are at the shoe store. Remember, our subject is the person performing the action in the sentence. In this example, that would be Martha and Sam. There is more than one person, so this is a plural subject. This means we must use the verb are. Let's move on to the next rule. For a singular subject, the matching verb typically ends in S. For a plural subject, the matching verb does not end in S. So let's say we have a singular subject. This means we have one person or thing performing the main action in the sentence. Usually, we can replace a singular subject with he, she, or it. The matching verb will usually end in S. Here are a few examples. If we have a singular subject, the verb to have becomes has, the verb to do becomes does, the verb to eat becomes eats, the verb to work becomes works. Again, notice that for a singular subject, all of these verbs end in S. Now let's say we have a plural subject. This means we have more than one person or thing performing the main action in the sentence. Usually, we can replace a plural subject with they. The matching verb will not end in S. In fact, the matching verb is usually the verb in its base form. This means we keep the verb as is. Here are some other examples. If we have a plural subject, the verb to have becomes have, the verb to do becomes do, the verb to work becomes work, the verb to eat becomes eat. Let's go through some sentences. Kathy and Sarah do or does difficult workouts. Our subject is the person or thing doing the main action in the sentence. In this example, it is Kathy and Sarah. Since there is more than one person, this is a plural subject. This means that the matching verb should be do. Kathy and Sarah do difficult workouts. Another way to think of this is that we can replace Kathy and Sarah with they. Remember, for a plural subject, the verb does not end in S. We keep the verb as is. But what if we were talking about only Kathy? In this instance, the subject is singular. This means the matching verb must end in S. The sentence would be, Kathy does difficult workouts. Rule 3. When we use the word each, we treat the subject as a singular subject. This means the matching verb will usually end in S. For example, each person has or have so many books. When we say each, we're thinking of one person, so we treat this as a singular subject. This means the verb ends in S. In this example, the sentence should be, each person has so many books. Rule 4. What if we start a sentence with there or here? How do we know which verb to use? When you start a sentence with there or here, the verb comes first and the subject comes after. The same rules we've been talking about for subject-verb agreement still apply here. Singular subjects use verbs that end in S. Plural subjects use verbs that do not end in S. Let's look at a few examples. There is or are 4 apples. In this case, the subject is the 4 apples. This is a plural subject. As we've said previously, are goes with plural subjects, and is goes with singular subjects. The sentence should be, There are 4 apples. I hear people say this all the time, but it would be incorrect to say, there is 4 apples. Next example. There is or are 1 car left. The subject is the car, and that's singular because there's only one. We should use is. There is 1 car left. Rule 5. When you join 2 or more nouns with or, you treat the subject as a singular subject. For example, apple or banana, work or works, fine. Because I'm using or, I'm technically talking about just the apple or just the banana. So we treat this as a singular subject, which means the verb that agrees with it is works. Rule 6. We treat indefinite pronouns as singular subjects. Indefinite pronouns are pronouns that don't refer to a specific person or thing. They end in body or one when we're talking about people, or thing when we're talking about things. Here are some examples. Anybody, anyone. Everybody, everyone. No one, nobody. Anything. Everything, nothing. We treat indefinite pronouns as singular subjects. That means the verb will typically end in S. Let's go through some examples. Nobody is or are here. Nobody is an indefinite pronoun, so we will treat it as a singular subject. We should therefore use is in this sentence. Nobody is here. Everybody love or loves Jason. Everybody is an indefinite pronoun, so we will treat it as a singular subject. As you know, the matching verb typically ends in S. As we mentioned earlier in this lesson, we can also replace a singular subject with he, she, or it. Remember, the matching verb for he, she, or it usually ends in S. The sentence should be, everybody loves Jason. Everything look or looks amazing. Everything is an indefinite pronoun, so it is a singular subject. The correct verb is looks. Everything looks amazing. The last rule is a tricky one, and it even confuses native English speakers. If you have a neither, nor, or either, or combination, your verb agrees with the subject closest to it. For example, neither the dog nor the cats like or likes to play. So first thing about this sentence is that it is a neither nor combo. Second thing is that it has 2 different subjects, dog, which is singular, and cats, which is plural. The verb must agree with the subject closest to it. In this example, it is cats, which is plural, so the correct verb is like. Neither the dog nor the cats like to play. If you're using just neither or either without the nor or combination, you treat the subject as a singular subject. Neither of the girls is or are happy. Girls is plural, but the word neither suggests that we're talking about 0 girls, so we use a singular verb like is. It is similar to the rule we discussed for the word each. Either way is or are fine. The word either means that the subject is singular, so we must use a singular verb like is. Let's go through this paragraph and correct these verbs so that they agree with their subjects. Some of the verbs are correct and some aren't. You can pause the video here to give it a try. Students gather eagerly in the classroom each morning. In this sentence, the subject is students and the verb is gather. Students is a plural subject. There's more than one person. So we keep the base verb. We do not add an S at the end of gather. They engages in lively discussions, filling the air with energy. They is a plural subject, so the matching verb should not end in an S. Remember, the verb only ends in S for singular subjects or he, she, or it. The teacher guide them with a smile. Teacher is a singular subject, so the verb should end in S. The teacher guides them with a smile, and each student listens attentively. So here, we are using each, which means we are only talking about one student at a time. This is a singular subject, so the verb should end in S. Each student listens attentively. Jason contributes unique perspectives. Jason is one person, so the matching verb should end in S. Another way to think about this is that you can replace Jason with he. And we know that for he, she, or it, the verb ends in S. In this environment, knowledge grow and friendships form. Sometimes you may not be sure if a noun is plural or singular. Knowledge is one of those tricky words. It is a non-countable noun. We can replace knowledge with it. And if we replace knowledge with it, the matching verb should end in S. Knowledge grows with an S. Friendships form. Friendships is plural, so the verb should not end in S. Stay tuned for part 3. Thank you for watching.